Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to my YouTube channel today. Did you ever wonder with an eBay store, if you just stopped listing for 5 days, what would actually happen to your store or to your sales? So in this video, I'm going to educate you. I basically ran an experiment, not on purpose, but I haven't listed anything for 5 days. I've been on eBay for 20 years. Currently have over 1,900 items listed, and the goal is to make at least $100 in sales per day. And let's see what the results are. And then also in this video, I'm going to show you some of the things that I've sold. So that way, when you're out there sourcing, since it's springtime, today is the official day of spring. When you're out there sourcing at garage sales or estate sales or flea markets, you can pick some of these items up that you maybe didn't think had any value. So let's get started with the video here. Let me get into a full screen. So this is my store. It's called Chi-Town Sounds. Again, I've been on eBay for 20 years. And these are the 1,904 items that I have currently listed for sale. So I do anything from coins. I've ran into some Bratz dolls, Live dolls. I haven't listed the Barbies yet. Listed some toys that came back from refunds, some jewelry, some hotel gift shop type items. You name it. I pretty much have, I'm kind of like an everything seller. Um, some nice jewelry, so on and so forth. So if today is March 20th, the only thing I've listed today was this particular item from a vintage DuPont lighter. Came back as a refund. It was a $32 sale. And the guy said just doesn't work for him, which is fine. So I took the refund back. Didn't refund him his shipping because it's not my fault he bought the wrong part, but did give him a full refund. That's another thing too. It's very important when you get a refund request from eBay and the item has been delivered to your mailbox, you don't want to sit on it. So if you sit on it and you wait for eBay or you wait for the seller to escalate it, meaning you've gotten the item and 2 or 3 days have gone by and you still haven't processed the refund, eBay will force the refund and they'll keep the fees. So that's very important that not too many people on YouTube discuss that. So if you do unfortunately get a refund and you get the item back and it's basically the exact item that you sent to them, you can keep the shipping if they made a mistake on their purchase. But if you let eBay do the refunding for you, eBay will keep the fees. Whereas if you do the refund, once you get the item, you inspect it, everything's good, the refund you give, eBay will also refund the fees that they charged you as the seller. So I know not a lot of people on YouTube discuss that or even mention that, but that is a very important factor. So when you get a refund, process it immediately. Don't take it personal. It's just part of doing business. All right. So again, 1,904 items currently listed for sale, which I would say is about an average eBay store. So the basic store subscription for $27.95 a month allows you to list up to 1,000 items a month. And then every item that gets renewed or listed above and beyond that, they charge you 25 cents. So I'm also considering, and I have not considered going up to the next store level because I think that's like 5,000 items, which there's not really an in between. So if you're going to list at least 1,000 items or close to 2,000 items on eBay over the course of 10 a day per se, and you're selling them, the basic store subscription I think is good enough. So these are things that I have listed. Now we're going to go into sold. And sell-through rate or selling your actual items is also very important. So this goes back the last 90 days. In the last 90 days, I've sold 439 items, which if you take 439 divided by the 1,904, that's a 23% sell-through rate. So that means every 10 items I list, 2.3%, or I'm sorry, 2.3 items sell. And the goal for my channel, or to express to you guys with my personal, this is not my full-time job, which is crazy, right? Because there are people on YouTube that do this full-time, but then they jump all around, like they go to, other formats or they do whatnot, as they become more of a creative or more of a following, and that's not real life for most of us. So again, this is really dedicated to someone that just wants to sell consistently on eBay and give them some ideas of some items to pick up. So we sold the coin here. It's very important with these graded coins that you put in the description exactly what it is. So this is a 2021 Denver 25-cent Washington crossing the Delaware quarter. These are all the quarters that came out during the pandemic. This one's graded. I got a bunch of these back in a couple years ago. for like $9. Someone was just kind of blowing it out. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll send a bunch of coins in to get graded, hoping for the MS68 or the higher grades, which are worth hundreds of dollars. And then they'll just blow out their lower graded stuff. But what I found is actually selling the lower graded stuff is a little bit more popular than selling the higher graded stuff that everybody wants, because people like to complete sets and they like to have real life examples. So I've actually sold more of the lower graded stuff that I picked up that I didn't pay very much for versus the higher graded stuff. So I just want to share that with you guys. Um, Toys. So anything vintage nowadays, I know I'm 48 years old and it's it's difficult for me to understand that 2003 is considered an older toy now, but it really is. So anything Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Power Rangers, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is real red hot right now. Pokemon's red hot. But Dragon Ball Z, if you're at a garage sale and you can pick some, one of these guys up for $1 or 50 cents, and you can easily see on the bottom of the foot when it was made. It's not huge money. Obviously, conditions everything. This guy doesn't have any weapons. He's just a raw action figure. But I sold him for $8, and I think I've had him listed for a couple months. One of the things too is like the actual weapons or things from the 80s or even 2003 or anything Marvel related. Sometimes the weapons can be worth way more than the actual action figure, because that action figure can be easily found, whereas the weapon that came with the action figure was most likely lost, destroyed, or thrown away or sucked up by a vacuum. This was an interesting sale. So my daughter received this from the actual artist. It's not a big deal, but it's a very cool anime jacket. So anything like flashy and cool or Y2K looking, even though this is not that old, this is brand new. Someone bought this for me for $45. I do have a heavy sale. But anytime you're looking at tags for clothing, if anything's made in the USA and it's kind of cool looking, definitely want to pick it up from estate sales or garage sales. And the other thing to look for is the actual zipper. So YKK is located, I believe, still in Northbrook, Illinois. That shows you a quality zipper. So it's not a cheap made in China, like a Temu item or a Shein item, the garbage. So definitely look for anything made in USA. Condition obviously is everything. And all these items that have 40% off are items that I've had listed for well over a year. So I'm just blowing that stuff out. So that was kind of cool to see that sell, because there's no comps on that whatsoever. You can actually do pretty well too on CDs. So CDs you can sell. The older hip hop or rap CDs are still very popular. This is just a maxi single. The case is cracked. This is my original CD I bought, back in my early 20s. And it's in decent condition. Don't sell CDs that are heavily scratched up. They're kind of a waste. But older rap CDs, even like Method Man here, again, it's just a CD single. I probably paid a couple bucks for it back in the day. You guys can definitely sell that stuff if you run across that at garage sales, as well as religious CDs and country and Western. That's very popular. But the rap CDs, for whatever reason, still have a very strong following, because people like to collect them. They like to look at the artwork. These action figures here are about 12 inches tall, and some of them are a little harder to find than others. So I bought a large lot of them from a seller on eBay, and basically gave the ones that my grandson, who's 3 years old, enjoyed, and then I decided to sell the rest. So he basically got some free toys. So keep an eye out for those larger figures, but don't pay more than $1 or $2 for these figures, because they're really not worth that much. There are some rare ones that are worth $20, $25, but again, condition is everything. So I was unaware of this, but these are Brat styles that I purchased for my 3 now adult daughters back in the day, and they're all played with. This one has its haircut, and it's been difficult because they all had their clothes or partially closed. There's a big bag of clothes, and a lot of them are missing feet. But you can definitely make really good money on Brat styles. I was at Walmart or Target the other day, and I noticed that they are still selling Brat styles to this day, 2025, and they're asking $20 for them. So these vintage ones, I believe they came out in 2003. And then there was some kind of fight with, was it Mattel or something like that? Barbie was like suing them or whatever the case may be. So some of these dolls can be very rare. Some of these just individual outfits can be worth as much as picking up jeans or clothing for real life human beings. So I've been using a source to kind of figure out what the dial was, when it was made. And the problem too with these Bratz dials is it's very difficult sometimes to tell when they were produced, because a lot of them will just say 2001. I'm sorry, yeah, that's when they came out. So it'll say 2001 on the head and on the back, but this dial was released in 2010. So that's where it gets a little confusing with Bratz dials. But MGA Entertainment is what you want to look for. And again, some of these outfits themselves can be worth some good money. So I've been trying my best to kind of piece together as complete of a dial as possible, and then selling it that way. And it's been fun. It's been tough. I was about to give up and just lot a bunch of stuff up, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't like putting like some rare Bratz down there. So this is the first Bratz doll that's actually sold out of the 20 that I've actually listed. So people still do want Bratz dolls, even if the hair's cut and they're missing the feet and, you know, missing the accessories. So keep an eye out for that at garage sales. You can pick up a Bratz doll, especially if it's an older one, for, you know, $1 or $2 a piece, or there's a big, you know, box or bin of dolls with their clothing. Just just buy all of them if the price is right, and then you can figure out it later. But you can turn almost an incomplete doll to a $20 bill. So you definitely can 10x your money there. Also are the Transformer weapons. So this one's from 1990, and I used Google Lens to kind of figure out what this was from. This again was purchased on eBay. It was a pretty large lot of toys. Again, I was only really wanting the toys, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in there for my grandson. And this was just, and there were no Transformers in it, but this Transformer weapon was part of the lot that I bought on eBay. So I ended up only paying like 86 cents for this item, but these old weapons for Transformers, again, because they got lost, and there are collectors that are looking to complete their figure because they might have one with a missing weapon. This little piece of plastic sold for $16. This Brahmin purse, these are kind of cool. They look really nice, and they're different colors. Some of them are green, but it's actually made with real alligator, and Brahmin is a very high-end brand. And these purses, I think brand new, are still like $600, $700, $800. So if you come across any of these used, or, you know, again, conditions everything. So this one was in really nice condition. There's a little bit of wear, but you don't want one that's like completely falling apart, because they're very expensive to restore. So I took pictures of this while I was doing my garage sale, because I purchased a large box of purses from another person on YouTube. It wasn't a whatnot. And this purse right here sold for $112. And I only had like a couple bucks per purse. Some of them are pretty trash. You know, I just donated them or threw them in the garbage, but this ended up being like the nicest one in there. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for Brahmin. Brahmin is a very nice handbag, very high, well made, and they look awesome. So everything worked on this, the zippers. There's a little bit of wear, but definitely with that. Other things to look for too are old vintage hats, especially if they still have the tags on it. Now, this is my personal one. So I had cousins visit me from Germany, and they brought this hat because they knew I was into soccer. So this soccer club is still one of the most popular soccer clubs in Germany. So this is a very old hat from the 90s, still with the tags on it. It took forever to sell. I think originally I had like $100. I was like asking pie in the sky for money for it, but it finally ended up selling for $37.50. So do not sleep on vintage hats that still have tags with actual famous, you know, European, or in this case, German football clubs on it. So, and there you can tell like everything's legit and real, but very cool piece. I never wore it. And again, this is something you can probably pick up at a garage sale, flea market, estate sale for a couple bucks. Reebok jackets. It's springtime, so people are looking for stuff. Again, just something that I don't wear anymore. I maybe wore it, you know, a handful of times. It's still in great condition. Got $18 for it. So if you can pick up a nice Reebok zip, you know, more Y2K is a little more popular nowadays. You can turn that $20 bill. Also backpacks. So this is an older backpack that I got for my daughters that they probably used for school or sporting, you know, volleyball and stuff like that. So if you, again, can pick up a backpack for a few bucks, Under Armour is a great brand. Again, conditions everything. You can turn that into a $20 bill. I did pick up a large lot of vintage watches from a local place, but they sold them to me through eBay. And because I was able to do local pickup, I was able to pick up a lot of nice vintage watches, and these are all snapback types. Fossil's obviously a popular brand, and it was real easy to change the batteries on it, clean the actual the the band that were not leather, and this is how you want to measure it. So again, and I always show the compartment that I changed the battery. So again, you can turn a few bucks. The batteries are not very expensive. You buy, pretty high volume of them. So I probably have $3, maybe 5 minutes into this watch, and turn that into a $20 bill. So definitely keep an eye out for vintage watches. I know they're not popular like the smaller ones, but believe it or not, it is coming back. I am seeing so more and more of the younger generation, they want to wear like old vintage watches now because they think it's cool. Obviously, Morgan Silver dollars, these are self-explanatory. You really have to be into them to know what certain things or rarities of it. This particular one had what's called an S over S mint mark, so you can't really see it with the naked eye. You kind of have to like zoom in. So I ended up picking this coin up for like 35 bucks and turn it into a $93 bill. So it's $60 profit just because I knew what I was looking for. Again, G.I. Joe from the 80s is super, super hot right now because the 30 and up age group is definitely into these. And this came off the big carrier USS Flag. It's a little itty bitty plastic part. I got 18 bucks for it. So again, anything older, plasticky, vintage, and if again you're at a garage sale and someone's grabbed all the action figures, I would be one to more or less grab the bin or box of parts because these little weapons and stuff go way, way, way more than the action figures. Old vintage Mickey Mouse, an old soldering iron that I used a couple times. Finally sold that. Definitely lost money on that, but I don't recommend picking up large, bulky items. But if you ran across one of these soldering irons for $5, pick it up. You can turn it into a $20 bill. It's just big and bulky. Comics are really, really tough. I bought these many, many years ago. I put them all in. I took a bunch of photos. I still have probably like 600 listed in my store. I do show them too during my garage sales, and then I take them off the listings. They're a very, very slow seller, and even and condition is absolutely everything. I sold some parts here for that vintage lighter that I couldn't get working, so I just decided to part out the entire lighter. A fake gold chain, which, again, it's just a yellow gold tone chain for $5, but someone bought it because it's vintage, still in good shape. Old CD, DKNY watch, again, got a couple bucks invested in that. Coin books are also a very good thing to source. So if you see this brand, it's called Dansko. So any of these brown books, some of these can be worth a lot because they're very rare and they stopped making them. This particular company, I believe, is out of California. They were making the books. They stopped making the books. Then they started making them again recently. So if you can grab one of these for a few bucks, these all day long are around $20 bills. And they're very easy to sell and take photos of as well. They don't take up a lot of space. Old Christmas ornament, vintage anklet here. So anything cool that's in good condition. And even if you find jewelry and it's kind of like worn looking, obviously, if you get a bunch of it, it might be worth purchasing a subsonic machine where you just put some Dawn dishwashing soap in with water. I have a more professional one that I spent a little bit extra money on that actually heats up the water and does a really good job. But you can get away with those $20 ones. They just don't fit a lot of jewelry in them. So, but I always clean my jewelry before I take photos and package them up. So any old nickels that you find from 1943, they're called war nickels. They do have 35% silver value in them, and they're very easy to recognize because you'll see a mint mark. It'll either say P or S or D on top here. Again, they'll trick you though. They look like regular nickels, but these are actually from, they're called war nickels, and they're not worth 5 cents. Even this beat up looking one sold for $3. So again, if you find that in your pocket change, that would be awesome. Here's an old modeling book. We had this. My wife had to purchase this back in the day when she was modeling, and people still enjoy these older books because it's hard to find that information online. So anything with like big pictures has to do with modeling can sell. This is a very interesting piece. So this is from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. This is a little shield for a elf, but the elf was called Melf Parallel. And this little shield sold for $15. It's not in the greatest condition. It definitely has some wear. I definitely played with this when I was little, and probably would have accidentally thrown it away, but I'm like, I recognize that that was a shield that belonged to one of the characters. Again, the actual Melf action figure maybe sells for 8, 9, $10, depending on condition, but the shield here is $15. So definitely don't toss little plastic weapons, especially ones from the mid 80s. They are definitely worth some money and doing some research on. This is an old Adidas tank top. Again, you can probably find these at garage sales, or your local Goodwill or Savers. Just don't pay a lot for them. So this one I don't wear anymore, and I sold it for $13. Sold a Timex watch. Old microphones can be worth money. Just make sure that they actually work. You don't want to sell a broken microphone and tell someone it works, and then when they plug it in, absolute garbage. So this one had the complete box and everything. Some old Fisher Price dollhouse figures and accessories. Sold that. Sold another watch. Glassware, I don't recommend picking up glassware. That's pretty rough. It's going to take a long time to sell, but sometimes the cuter and obviously condition, you want to sell something with cracks, but I don't really recommend selling glassware. It's a pain. Like, I always get so nervous when I ship it out. Like, I double or triple box it, so that way it makes it safe. So everything else here I've already covered in prior videos. So again, hopefully this helps you guys out when you're out there sourcing for items, whether you're into coins or whatever you're into. Just, if you can get something at a decent buck, it will resell on eBay. It does take some time, but I have not listed anything for 5 days and my sales are still good. So let's go to my seller page before I let you guys go. So these are my sales. In the last 7 days, I've sold $680. So again, the goal is to sell at least $100 a day. Yes, there are days that suck, like $26 here, but then there's days where I'll sell like 205, or something larger will sell 174. So we're about flat for the last 30 days compared to February. So March should pick up for a lot of you guys that are selling on eBay, or if you're deciding to sell on eBay, this is a great month to definitely get started. So you can get out there for those states. For those of you that watch that aren't in states where there's warm weather all the time, you're going to see more garage sales, more estate sales. A lot of people have collected a lot of stuff, or they're ready to part ways with it. That's when you can get the good deals, and this is the best time to get stuff listed on eBay. So I don't recommend not listing for 5 days, but I've got plenty of stuff in my store. I'm running sales, and I just want to show you guys that you still can make sales even though you don't list on a consistent basis. But I'm going to get out there this weekend. I'm going to source some more items, be very selective of the items because I do have a big enough store as is. But again, I don't recommend that listing, but if you have a big enough store and you run a sale and you have decent stuff that people actually want to buy from you, you'll still make actual sales. So appreciate you guys watching. Check out my other videos. Please like, share, and subscribe, and happy hunting out there, guys. Bye-bye.